Hello everyone, Silver Contrail here. For once, I'm on time this week with an article Aftermath, attaching it to the article that should be up currently on Harpies. So, normally I wait a little bit to put out these articles because I like to get all of the comments out there. And a lot of people comment like Monday or Tuesday before my new article goes up, and by then I've already produced an article Aftermath. So I like to wait and then attach it. I'll like make it on Tuesday or Wednesday after I've seen all of the comments. But I've decided to do this. It's just a little bit easier on me, so hopefully people don't get missed. I try to reply to as much as I can that makes sense to reply to, because some people make comments that you don't really want to reply to because they're not necessarily prompting you to reply to them or start a discussion. But anyways, last week I talked about Trap Hole. This is a card I saw a ridiculous amount of at the Garden City Regional, which I went to along with Doug and Lucas, and some of my other friends as well. And I saw this card everywhere, and unfortunately, I decided to play Harpies. I borrowed the deck from a friend, and I was playing it there. And it was an awful, awful experience because my opponent seemed to always have Harpies, or always have Trap Hole against when I had my Harpies. I'd go into my play. I'd say 90% of the time that I had, first turn I would go Harpy Hunting Ground and then summon the Harpy Dancer. They would warning, and then that would be warning, so I'd lose all my effects. And then after that, I'd summon something else, and anything else is big enough to be Trap Hole or bottomless at that point, even. And yeah, it would almost always get hit by. Then there would be a Trap Hole, there would be a bottomless, there would be a torrential, something. They would be activating a lot of things to try to get my monsters off the field every time I normal summoned. And I realized as more and more people, as I get kind of higher in the tables, I saw a lot more Trap Hole, and it kind of occurred to me that this was a card I had overlooked for this format, and it actually does have a lot of applications. And there's a lot of places where it has good matchups. So on the way back home, I was thinking to myself, hey, this is the perfect subject to write an article about Trap Hole, how you side deck against it, or how you can side it in against a lot of different matchups. Of course, being a trap, it does run the risk of being negated by Trap Stun and 7 Tools, and I think that applies to everything this format. Trap Stun and 7 Tools are really good cards. Maybe Trap Stun more so, because I don't feel like there's enough counter traps, except for the slowly increasing in popularity of the slow increase in popularity of Divine Wrath, which is pretty cool actually to see Divine Wrath getting play. Uh, and then beyond that, Trap Hole is clearly a searchable card with Trap Tricks. I didn't mention Trap Tricks because they didn't really fit the theme of the side deck idea. I could have mentioned it. It would have been kind of shoehorned in. It would have been like, oh, by the way, you could side in a Trap Tricks monster along with it. But I just didn't really do it. I definitely thought about it. It was on my mind, but I just didn't decide to put it in the article. And then someone else commented on the play against Madolche. Trap Hole is really weak against Madolche. There's no doubt about that. Like, I've played the deck enough. Definitely know that it's ridiculous against Madolche. Ridiculously bad. But it does stop Hoot Cake plays. If you're looking for something that doesn't lose immediately to a Chain Typhoon, that might be your card. There's different options there on what you want to do with that. It's not, it's still going to prevent you from losing the game if they go and they summon their Hoot Cake and they're about to do a bunch of nonsense and you don't have a trap, or you chain your Phoenix Chain and they're like Typhoon, then you're out of luck and you lost the duel. But if you had that Trap Hole, sure, they're going to get a monster back with their ticket or Chateau. Assuming they don't have those, then hey, it's really good. And I think I talked about this a lot in the article. I'm pretty sure I brought it up a couple of times, where Typhoon combined with, and I'm searching for it right now actually, if you have Typhoon and you have Trap Hole, you're going to stall out a lot of strategy. So you think, okay, well, Trap Holing things against Madolche is not very good, but if you have Trap Hole and Typhoon, you're putting them in a really bad spot because now you're hitting either their ticket or their field spell, and then you're trap holding them. They're going to lose their monsters now. It takes a while for a deck like Madolche to kind of get that advantage back, especially if they can't just have, Mageline continually summoning that and getting plays off of it. Or getting monsters off of it. And I think, yeah, Trap Hole's a good card as long as you play it correctly, and it's one of those cards where it's like compulsory evacuation device. You wouldn't want to really play it against Madolche as much, because if they have ticket or their field or if they have ticket, it's not going to be very fun for you. But that said, I think even taking the minus on Trap Hole when they have a Chateau isn't that bad. And even if you're as long as you're hitting a hoop cake or something, it isn't even that bad because you won't lose the duel. Now, they definitely do have ways to get around it, but there are a few options. Although a card that was suggested was Force Back, and this is pretty cool because I hadn't thought about this card in a long time. But it does negate summons, which is pretty cool, even though it kicks them back to the hand. And I'm wondering about that card now when you look at it in the context of Force Back versus Horn of Heaven. A lot of decks can't pay for Horn of Heaven. Maybe this is a more viable option for summon negation, as long as you're prolonging the summon, certainly. But Force Back does it against a lot of these decks. It will cost them a full turn, and they like you said, you cannot lance that because it's a counter trap. So that's pretty cool. They can't trap stun it either unless they use it preemptively. So that's interesting. So yeah, I think that's about all I want to talk about with this article. Yeah, I think so. I've got some duel videos, which are probably just finishing up now. Me playing some Harpy decks, and also a new deck that I've been experimenting with that runs Thor. Just some fun stuff to mess around with on DevPro. Of course, I'm excited for Legacy of the Valiant because I'm going to be running Sylvans then. I can't wait for that. Anyways, that's it for me today, this week. This week's article is on Harpies. How to side deck in Harpies, not against Harpies, in Harpies. So a little bit different. And yeah, that's about it for me. So thank you for listening. And until next time then.